Arkansas finally gets the elusive true road win, barely, as they defeat South Carolina at South Carolina by a score of 65-63. This is Arkansas basketball recap. I'm Daniel Price. That's Jacob Price. Hey, every road win in the SEC is a good win, but sometimes road losses in the SEC, depending on who you're playing, are bad losses. And this was about to be one of those. So we needed a win on the road. We got a win on the road. We got to 500 in conference. Those are really good things. Man, I was uncomfortable down the stretch of this game. This is one, most as we look at the schedule going forward, we've said over and over again, you got to win at home. You got to win at home, with the exception of this game, which was and at South Carolina. That's the whole formula going forward to get it done. If you're gonna finish 500 in the league, you got to hold serve at home, and you have to win this game, because if you don't win this game, you got to win some other game on the road, which is a much less friendly game for you to win.
Well, and because even our home victories are far from guaranteed. Um, I mean, I like our chances, but we still have to beat Kentucky at home. Um, so it's not like it's guaranteed. And yeah, I mean, we were, I mean, these shows are going to get redundant because this season has been a little bit redundant, but like this game was very, very similar to the last five games. The difference was it went our way, and it could have easily not went our way. I mean, there at the end, that guy drove, and I think Walsh fouled him before the shot. The reason he short arm, and by the way, he could have easily made that reverse layup, and then we would have been down by one with 2 seconds left. And the reason he short armed it is because he had to take off from a little bit further under the goal than he probably would have liked to. And that was because Jordan Walsh was holding his hip as he went by. And it looked kind of like a foul, but it was like, I like that they swallowed the whistle at the end of the game, make the
Yeah.
guy, make the offensive player make a play. But that's the kind of thing that we put that game into the hands of the gods. And thankfully they smiled upon us. But he could have easily made that layup. They could have gotten that rebound and a putback. That ref could have probably should have called a foul on Jordan Walsh right there and sent them to the free throw line. And then it's just like a matter of, we definitely didn't still didn't play at a level. There's no new news. I mean, we played good at times in this game. We played bad at times. I mean, the only thing that's really changed from the very beginning of our struggles this season is they are shooting better. They're not
Mm-hmm.
shooting amazing, but they're shooting better. I mean, they're not doing that thing that we were doing
or
down that
or
riddle.
or at least Devo is.
Yeah.
But he made all the threes that we had in this game.
Yeah, I mean, when like I said, still when he takes good shots,
Mm-hmm.
they're going in at an amazing clip because
Mm-hmm.
the ones that he missed today were both like kind of too deep, and one
Yeah.
of them was off the dribble, which I also don't really love from him because he seems like he does a much better set shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, when he takes good shots where the ball finds him and he's open, he is shooting at a high
But
rate right
I
now.
mean, I mean, this is what's wild. So Devo was 4 of 10 from the 3 point line. Now I do believe that one of those was like a half court chuck. So let's meh whatever on that. I mean, that doesn't really count. You're just throwing one up at halftime buzzer or whatever. Uh, the I mean, you would have thought it was absurd earlier in the season if Devo would have taken 10 threes. That's ridiculous. But he made four of them, and I think only nine of them I would say are legit threes. Bro, if you could say there's 10 of them, say they're all 10 were just like straight up shots. If you're gonna make 4 out of 10, I don't care if you shoot 10.
Mhm. And they a couple of them came at big moments. They like
Mm-hmm.
were kind of like broke the back of little South Carolina runs
Mm-hmm.
where they were like pull within five or six, and then he'd hit that and it'd be like, okay, now it's back to nine. And so they came at really opportune moments. Unfortunately, again, we cannot extend our 10-point lead. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
get a 10-point lead and we even if we're better than the team, I mean, sometimes you're not better and you have a little run and you got to just hang on to it. But we, I would have liked to have seen we were better than South Carolina at
Yeah.
almost every. I mean, they did shoot. I don't know what their percentage was, but they hit a bunch of shots from the outside that kept them in this game. But man, I'd like to be able to see us put away a team that is inferior to us.
Well,
You
I
know,
mean, Johnson hit 5 of 8 from downtown. That's really there's two things in this game. One, Johnson, he ends up with 20 points, but he hits 5 of 8 from downtown, most in the second half. And then Gray, I mean, he had 14 rebounds, but 7 offensive, 7 defensive, but he was a problem, dude.
yeah. I mean, he went off. I mean, that was one of his. I mean, they were even talking about how that was a particularly good game for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, and dude, and to be fair, like it wasn't. It's not like it. I mean, if you'd like him being the one to chuck up that shot at the end, but dude, I wasn't feeling that great about it when he caught it and threw it up. I'm like, it's just one of those days with like the day this guy's having. If he banks that three in off the
Yeah.
glass to win the, it's like
Yeah.
that's like our season down the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, they definitely
But
were
but
making
but
me
here's the
nervous.
thing: you got to Musselman had some interesting things to say. I think that they are instructive. He said, "Look, I reminded the team that this is a team that beat Kentucky at Kentucky. This is a team that beat Clemson. Clemson's a ranked team. Uh, he said they got guys that will beat you if you don't show up.
Hmm.
And you saw some of that. You saw the potential for that. That hey, just because they're not, they're in the bottom of the SEC doesn't mean they won't beat you if you don't go out there and play hard. They will beat you. And you're on the road.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, we've lost to teams that we like. That team's not worse. Not that much worse than Vanderbilt or
Ole Miss.
probably even
I
LSU
mean,
at
we
this
beat
point.
we beat them. Well, dude, here's the thing. So, but I thought this is a really good point by Muss. Muss says that they lose that game earlier in the season, and he considers that a lot of like that's a big progress because he says that game is basically the LSU game, and we hadn't learned how to win the game like that yet, and this was, it was on the road, 3 point game, and we couldn't do it then, and we did do it, and that's good, and I think that is something because you have all these close losses and close road losses, and it just regardless of who the opponent is, to win a close game on the road is going to give you some confidence, and it is a box you need to check. Close road win. I don't care who it is. Like if you haven't got one of those yet, you need to get one, and they got one.
Yeah, like I said, obviously, I'm probably going to get accused of being negative, but I agree with that, and I'm ecstatic. I mean, like I said, that to me, that was if we had lost that game somehow, that would have been not. I mean, like I said, you would have been basically in the position where you're looking now. You're just looking for a miracle. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
looking to just go on some crazy run where you have no reason to believe you can shoot better than you've ever shot or whatever, and you're going to go on. And also maybe that some other teams you need things to break in your favor in a way
Mm-hmm.
that's unlikely.
It's
Um,
you start to lose control of your own destiny, which is not good.
right, where we're almost at that point anyway. Like we're like we need
Hey, we've won 4 out of 5. We're like reclaiming our destiny here, bro.
right. And so that's great. I would have liked to have seen, like I said, this game is one of those ones where I like Must say in that. I like him saying that for the players to inject that into them. Personally, I didn't see a lot of things different about this game
Mm-hmm.
than some of the other games, other than I would have felt that way if Devo had knocked down those free throws. Like they foul, and then we get to the line, and you got a chance to not. I mean, you wouldn't have put the game away, but it was a
Mm-hmm.
1 point game. You can make it where they have to shoot 19 seconds left. They have to shoot a three to tie it, and basically, it's impossible for them to lose. Kind of. Maybe they could force overtime, but like I said, you like your chances if you got 19 seconds to basically defend the
Yeah.
3 pointer. And they're probably going to go for a quick two and foul you again or something, but like you have a chance to make it really difficult for them. Bevo misses the front end. They get the ball. They have two shots
Mm-hmm.
to win the game. And so
Big
basically, like I said,
big rebound by Anthony Black, by the way. Wait for your point guard to
yes,
be down there fighting.
yes, absolutely. Because that big dude, I was when he missed that, I thought for sure that big dude was going to grab it. He was right in there.
Yeah.
And And that's what I mean. It's like if Anthony Black doesn't somehow scrap that rebound, it's probably a dunk. If and like I said, honestly, like the ref swallowed their whistle. And like I said, I'm not saying it just because I'm like it was in our favor. I like if you watch the game, what game was I watching earlier today? Or it was Auburn, was it Auburn and Tennessee? Came down to a last second shot, and um, they did the kind of the same thing. They could have called a foul on a 3-pointer that would have given Auburn a chance to tie the game and go to overtime. And they're just like, I like when refs make the offense win the game. Don't give them the
Unless it's
game.
just egregious and they have no
Yeah, unless it's
choice.
egregious. But I think Walsh probably fouled that guy. That guy back cut him, got a step, and he held his arm and his wrist, I mean, and his hip a little, and kept him from being able to make that shot. And they could have easily called that. And all I'm saying is, thank God things broke in our favor because to be fair, I mean they said it before in the game we were I think 1-4 in games decided by under 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
It's like and I watch I mean those games like I said they were the same thing. It's like all we needed is I mean especially I can't remember
By the
which
way,
one.
we've earned one to break in our favor too, because we've had some stuff times where refs didn't swallow the whistle at the end of those close games, and it isn't fun.
Yeah, or our buck or like I said, the one game that really drove me crazy, I think it was the Missouri one, but where or no, it was the Baylor one, I think, where we had two shots that one from Graham and one from Council that went I don't even know how they didn't go in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They were great shots. And if they go in, I mean we should have won that Baylor game. We outplayed Baylor in that game. And so like yes, absolutely we deserve to have something kind of go our way because we've gotten not screwed, but we've had unfortunate luck in a few of these close losses. We probably should have at least won one or two more games. And so yeah, absolutely. But I'm still like hoping everybody.
You feel like you stole one. I mean, like you're like,
Not I don't know about steal one, but I feel like I mean I would have felt better about this win as far as like our trajectory. Like you said, winning a couple in a row, getting back to 500. Like here we go. Let's get some momentum behind us. And I would feel better about that if we had kept that 10-point lead and just actually taking care of business as far as like beating South Carolina the way I would
yeah.
have liked, um and if the reasons that that game was close was the same reasons all of our games have been close, which is some reason in the second half, and maybe it's the extended minutes that everybody, that we've
Well,
talked about a bunch of times.
let me to that point. Devo Davis, 40 minutes. Ricky Council, 40 minutes. Anthony Black, 40 minutes. It's rough.
That's what I'm saying. Our offense inevitably, with about 14 to 8 minutes to go in the second half, just comes to a screeching halt and it
And there's
bogs
not
down.
and there's not. I don't. I mean, if you've not played basketball in a um in an organized setting, uh, it is you play pickup ball and it's hard to play a couple games in a row with like breaks and they don't matter. If it is hard to play a whole game, it is almost impossible for you to for it to not affect you at some point during the game.
Yeah, I know when they were reading out, that guy was like saying, "Oh yeah, they've got some guys. Something that's concerning is they've got a lot of guys playing a lot of minutes." And he read off the minutes. And I was like, "Dude, some of those are from like he was like Council 33 minutes average." I'm like,
Since
dude,
when?
yeah, that
Yeah.
that would be like 39 if it wasn't for that one game where he sat for 18 minutes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the same thing with Anthony Black. I'm like, yeah, that one game where he was in foul trouble and didn't play the
Or
whole first
at
half.
one game where he banged his knee and went out for 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's like those minutes are you can add about 5 minutes to that if coach has his druthers. It's like they've just each had some games where they didn't play very much in that one game, and that's bringing those
The
minutes
only guy
down.
that doesn't play
But
those kind of minutes is Jordan Walsh, and he probably would, except for he foul out for sure. You can't get more
right.
than 30 out of Walsh without him collecting 5 fouls.
Mm. Yeah.
Here's the
But the,
minutes breakdown of this game, dude. So Black, Council, Davis, they all play 40 minutes. They all play the full game. Uh, Mikel plays 20 minutes. Makai only plays 5 minutes. I don't know what that was about. He only plays 5 minutes. Jalen Graham plays 21 minutes. That's probably what that was about. Kamani Johnson plays 1 minute. Jordan Walsh plays 33 minutes. That's it.
I could be wrong, but it felt like they were really pushing that soft man slash zone and he quickly realized that you can't have those two big guys
No,
together.
no.
There's just not enough movement and scoring and passing. Like you got to have, in order to make the D or the offense work against the zone, you need more guys that can handle the ball. And like I said, it's just pass and dribble and
Mm,
like quick cuts. And those big guys just are too clunky to have two of them in there. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's why I think Jalen Graham, he inserts him generally, and he's not exactly a zone buster, but he really helps break that down, having a big man that is super versatile
Hmm.
scoring wise, and I don't know, he just handles the ball better. You know what I mean? He can put it on the deck and dribble in
Yeah.
if he needs to.
Yeah,
Um,
Jalen Graham was a bright spot of this game. If you were to talk about things that were different, I mean, Graham getting 21 minutes, so he played, a little over half the game and played well. I mean, he was, eight of 10, had 16 points, so led us in scoring. I mean, he was the leading scorer for this game. He looked good, man. I mean, he looked really good on the offensive end. Bro, Jalen, I'm gonna need you to decide with another person, particularly one of the guards, if you're switching or not
yeah,
because I don't know what's going on, but there was like a number of times where it's like, dude, you can't let a guy the size of you can't lose a guy the size of Gray on a pick and roll. That dude ain't fast. Like you and like, are you switching it? Or are you what are you doing? And maybe I just know he got caught in that a bunch of times and resulting in dunks. And I'm one of you guys got to switch. Like, are you fighting through it or are you switching? Because that dude rolling to the basket, dunking was not a great thing. That aside, um, I thought Jalen Graham played really, really well on the offensive end. 20 minutes, 2 rebounds. I don't love that.
yeah.
Like I mean, because you're playing inside. We were getting killed on the glass some of this time. I need more than that. But offensively, he really, really helped out, and I think that there was a lot of positive things there. Uh, he would be player of the game, but I actually think player of the game is kind of sneaky. But I think it's actually Anthony Black, who was 4 of 10. He has 13 points, but he has 6 rebounds and 4 assists,
Yeah.
and he just has the best filled up stat sheet. I mean, Devo has 15 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. It's nice. But you want to know something else? I mean, Jordan Walsh only has 4 points, plays 33 minutes, has 10 rebounds.
Yeah, he was all over the place. There was a lot of times I almost felt bad for him. There was a couple of times he almost got a rebound over like our whole like we shot a ball and like there was one particular time it was like everybody went to go back to play defense and he was still slapping the ball around and almost got another
Yeah.
rebound from with like three South Carolina players down there. But yeah, it's hard to pick a player of the game this game because they really played even and everybody played pretty well. Nobody was outstanding, but they all had moments. Like I said, Devo hit some timely threes. Council, like I said, just was kind of steady through the whole thing. The Anthony Black's, not just his rebounds, but just his back cutting on that zone,
Mm-hmm.
causing a lot of problems with the. I mean, he passed a lot from there. He found Devo on a lot of those threes
He did.
from
Yeah.
from
I mean, he had 4 assists and only 2 turnovers, so you like that from him.
yeah, because turnovers are definitely, and even though we didn't have like crazy amount,
We
we
had
had
11. We had 11. We had 11. The turnovers weren't. That's 11's. That's fine.
but we had, I think we had more than they did, which bummed me out because it wasn't a really, it was a
They had
slow
yeah
game.
they had 10, so 10 to
Yeah.
11. Yeah, I mean it was weird. The numbers are very similar, which makes sense because this was a very close game. And so I mean rebounds, they had 34 rebounds. We had 32 rebounds. I actually would have thought we got out rebounded worse than that if I wasn't looking at it. You know, we had 12 assists. Or sorry, they had 12 assists. We had 11. We had 3 steals. They had 6 steals. We had 5 blocks. They had 3 blocks. They had 10 turnovers. We had 11 turnovers. Um, I mean, even this kind of stuff. We were 9 of 13 from the free throw line. They were 8 of 14 from the 3 point line or free throw line. We were 4 of 15 from the 3 point line. They were 7 of 19. It kind of makes you
And if you,
wonder how do we win this game?
how did we win that game? Because like so far, every one of those stats were advantage to them.
Just a little bit. Yeah. The one that's not is we were 26 of 55 from the floor for 47%. They were 24 of 58 for 41%. And so
That's
uh,
pretty close, but
so
yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
so that we made one more. I mean, this is what it comes down to. I mean, we made we made two more baskets than they did overall, and
mhm.
we made one more free throw. That's it, and that was enough to get you a 2 point win.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I don't want to be a total poo poo on everything. I mean, like I said, I do think that there is still reason to, I mean, like take the win, and like you said, you're still we're building momentum. We got a couple of wins in a row. We got our first road win. We're back to 500. We're still on the bubble, but we're on the happy side of the bubble.
Yeah, we're
We're
in right now.
still,
Right now we're in. We're a projected 11 seed, and um, look, at the end of the day, road wins in the SEC are hard to get, and you got it. And the selection committee isn't going to look at the score. Like
Mhm.
they're not going to look at it. Like they're going to uh, they just look at W's and L's. And
Unless
that's
you end
it.
up with a tie with a tied record with someone like Texas
Yeah.
A&M, then they look at point differential. I think
Well,
is the next
they
one,
might
isn't
look
it?
at close. They might look at close losses on selection Sunday. Like they might say, well, I lost to this team. Well, if you lost to a good team, but it was close, that might, if you're on the bubble, maybe that comes in. But for the most part, it's just wins and losses, man. Like and it's a win, and that's the way it goes. And those close losses that we had, those don't matter either. They're just L's.
Hmm. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, we're headed in the right direction, and there's reason to still believe
Oh yeah,
that this can still be in fact, I mean, like I said, in some ways, it, having a tough season is makes if you do have a little surge, it makes it a little bit sweeter. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
coming out of hard times and having things go well. Now, like I said, I still think this team has problems and things that they need to work on and figure out. But you you know can only you can only win one game at a time. So
yep, yeah. And they've won more than they've lost lately, and that's a good thing. Tell you what, if they'd won that Baylor game, we'd be calling it a streak. Now it is an SEC streak, whatever that's worth, but we'd be calling it just a regular old streak, which would be nice to be on. Hey, big one coming up on Tuesday. Right now, we should all be Kentucky fans because let me tell you, I have a philosophy here. I'm not interested in Florida beating Kentucky tonight. Nope, I'm
yeah,
not interested in it. I'm interested in Kentucky winning that game. I don't need Kentucky coming off a loss to Florida, playing Arkansas at home. I don't need it. If we're gonna go to Rupp Arena, I need them to just beat Florida, and we'll just go in there and do it. But that's a big one, man. That's a road one where like I don't care how sloppy it is or what it looks like. If you can go into Rupp Arena and get that one, uh, that's going to be big,
yeah. And Kentucky is
gettable.
well, I mean, they're gettable, but honestly, the good news is everybody's gettable to a certain extent. I mean, what the SEC is both extremely stifling as far as like anyone can beat you, but also anyone is beatable in the same sense, which
Yeah,
if it, I mean, it sounds like a stupid thing to say, but the transfer portal and everything has changed the dynamic in the last 5 years of college basketball. Because I mean, we've kind of talked about this before, but if you remember a decade ago, if you looked at the number one, two, like the top five teams, sometimes like three of them had no losses, and most of the time the top five had like one or two, maybe three losses. Now you look at top five teams, and they all have three losses, or
yeah,
four losses, or five losses, and it's like these teams are everywhere around the country. There's not that team that has five NBA players and is
mm-hmm.
just not going to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just like it's like a miracle if they lose. Like now, you have Tennessee going to places and losing, and you have Alabama going places and losing. And it's like these really top 10 teams are going to come out of their seasons with between 3 and 6 losses. And I mean, like I said, it's just a different. It feels like a different dynamic, and I think it's going to, it's been reflecting itself in the tournament where, I mean, the good teams are good, but the there's not as wide a chasm between an
Yeah.
11 seed and a 1 seed as there used to be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. That's definitely true. And, you know, I mean, you saw tonight. I mean, what Mississippi State beat Missouri, and Missouri's been real hot. I mean, real hot. And Mississippi State is a top echelon defensive team, and they went in there and just held them down. And Missouri is the best offensive team in the SEC, I think, right now. They just choked them out, man. And I mean that's why even going to South Carolina and winning is you got to take that W, because that is a team that went into Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky. And now they haven't done that a bunch of times, but what it tells you is like that can be you. Any given game, that can be you. Right? Somebody will beat you if you don't show up.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that can be you could also be South Carolina. You like I said, we really haven't had that yet. We haven't had that game that we've gone into and beat a team that we
It was
weren't
supposed to be. It was
supposed to
supposed to
beat.
be. It was supposed to be Baylor, dude. It was supposed
Yeah,
to
I
be
know.
Baylor.
But and it
Should have
was
been.
Baylor. I mean, we just didn't
Woulda,
quite hold on to that
shoulda,
one.
coulda been Baylor.
But that's why I think like surely at some point we're gonna play. I don't feel like I've like this team just hasn't played where you're like, whoa, they played really good tonight. You know what I mean? Like they haven't had that game yet. Baylor was the closest thing. They
Mm-hmm.
played really good for most of the game, and then they had a few turnovers, a few lulls. And same thing with that Missouri game that we lost, where we were up by 10 with 5 minutes to
Mm-hmm.
go. They played 35 minutes of great basketball and 5 minutes of crappy basketball and lost that game. But I'm still waiting for that game where they just start to finish play, you know, top level as good as they're capable of, and they're going to beat somebody good doing that.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I hope it would be nice if it was Kentucky.
I mean, well, Kentucky is like good, but not like amazing. Kentucky is
They're a little
not.
schizophrenic.
Yeah, you might be able to go. You might be able to play pretty dang good and beat Kentucky. I'll take playing unbelievable and put your best game together the whole season and go on the road and beat at the end of the season and go beat Alabama or Tennessee. Yeah, that's the other thing. I was talking. We were talking earlier this week, and you got to rattle off some wins and stuff right now because the last three games are brutal, dude. I mean, at the
Mhm.
end of the season, we have to go to Alabama, to Tennessee, and then finish the season with Kentucky at home. You don't want to be like desperately needing 2 wins going into those 3 games.
Yeah, and you want to be like I said. Right now, we're like the last team in the SEC in, I guess, and you want to be able to hold off these other teams that are desperate and surging, like Florida,
That's why.
like
That's
Texas
why.
A&M.
That's why you might as well root for Kentucky to beat Florida. We don't need any of that. You might as well root for people to beat Texas A&M. We don't need any of that. Just let the cream start to rise, and we need to be in it.
Hmm.
Yep. All right, man. Well, Tuesday, big one at Rupp. I'll be excited for that, and we will be back to cover that after the game. So I'll see
All
you
right.
then.
See you guys.